Hi, it's Jack. It's Jack. It's Jack. Hi, my name is Jack. And this is going to be a really intimate comeback story, which I'm excited to tell. I think I'm just going to hold the little microphone because my Red Hot Chili Peppers shirt, who I love, by the way, is not very good at holding it. So I'm just going to talk with it in my hand. This is a really intimate story. I've probably never talked to anyone about this. So I'm really excited to just start being open and truthful about who I am and my feelings and the things that have affected me in my life. I am Jack. I'm releasing music as Jack. I'm so excited to be back on the scene I am formerly known as Mama Cleo. That was my artist name between 2018 and 2020 when I was last releasing music. And I was 23 to 24, 25, right up until the pandemic. Then I stopped. I took a break for 4 years now, which is crazy looking back at it because, I was like, I just need a little break to get my head right and I'll be back at it. I thought I was going to come back as Mama Cleo, etc. Fast forward 4 years, I'm a mom now. I don't have just one dog, I have 3 dogs, and I have so much more perspective. So I'm just going to talk about why I'm saying bye-bye to Mama Cleo, who I love, and hello to Jack, so that you all can understand. It all goes back to why I want to be a musician, why I decided to be a singer-songwriter. And I have to say, I don't even remember the first time I thought, oh, I have to be a singer, I have to be a performer. It was always just what I was going to do, which is really crazy and it's hard to believe, but I remember being 2, 3, 4, 5 years old and putting music on in my kitchen, having my parents invite my aunts and uncles over and performing. And I would go get costumes from my room, whatever I could find around the house. I incorporated pots and pans, I danced, I sang. It was just always what I loved. So I just grew up with constant thoughts about how this was my destiny. And it feels like that when I'm singing, when I'm creating, when I'm really connected to it. It feels like the most beautiful, euphoric thing ever. So I could just never get away from it, no matter how hard I tried growing up. I was just in awe of everyone from my era, like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, etc. Nora Jones, I loved at a young age too, and I was like, how do I become like these people? And it's hard when you don't grow up in a family that's in the music business, right? So you don't even know where to start. It really picked up, or I guess I was always singing, middle school, elementary school, always putting on shows, even for my class. I would sing 1,000 Miles and Build Me Up Buttercup, and I was super annoying and weird. I'm not saying I advocate for bullying at all, but I understand why people bullied me, because I went to a Catholic school and I was the weird girl. I dressed up like a witch one day and like a psychic the next day. Even with the confines of a uniform, I would find some way to be strange. Of course, that called attention to me and I was weird. That affected me a lot, obviously, being bullied, but I get it. Anyway, so then for high school, I got accepted, and thank God I grew up in New York City, because this would only happen to someone who's not from an industry family if you grew up in New York or some other place like that. And so I got accepted to this school called LaGuardia, Fiorello LaGuardia High School of Music, Art, and the Performing Arts. And it's a school that the movie Fame is based off of. Obviously, it was like a normal school. I still had to take math class and English class. And in fact, I really excelled academically, which is part of the reason my path is so strange. It really was like how you could imagine a movie. There were people singing in the staircases all the time. People would play music on their saxophone or whatever and dance on the lunchroom tables. And honestly, I loved high school. I was living my best life. I studied opera or classical music. While that I haven't ever pursued classical music professionally, it was still just amazing to come to school every day, sing for 3 hours alone in the best choirs you'd ever hear in your life. Like, I can't even listen to a choir or think about joining one because my senior year, I was in a chorus that was just impeccable. Like, everyone sang perfectly and was in perfect harmony, and the energy at the school was amazing. And of course, I was still bullied. I still had issues. You know who you are. Mother effers, whatever, but I also had an amazing time. And I went to school with some awesome people, some people who are famous now. I went to high school with Timothy Chalamet, Ansel Elgort, and the third person that people know is Lourdes Leon. So I'm gonna quickly tell stories about my experiences with all three of them because I got some cute stories. Timmy was in my grade, Timothy Chalamet, at LaGuardia, and then we went to Columbia together for a year, and he actually lived in my dorm building, like on my floor, and then he dropped out because he became famous for being in Call Me By Your Name, whatever, right? Don't blame him. But he was so sweet to me every time I saw him. In high school, he was nice to me, but then LaGuardia was a big school and we really started to talk more. There were only 3 or 4 of us from LaGuardia who got into Columbia. So we all knew each other. And every time I saw him on campus, he would be like, "Jacqueline, you look beautiful today. Keep smiling." And I would just be like, "Thank you, Timmy. You're so sweet." Yeah, I probably should have talked to him more, but I was like, I thought he was too cool. So I respect him a lot and I'm so happy for his success. Okay, second, Ansel Elgort. He was a year older than me at LaGuardia. I have a lot of memories of seeing him around the city and school and everything, but my one direct interaction, I was like, you know, the nerdy girl fundraising for Relay for Life, a fundraiser for the American Cancer Society, and we would sell like Valentines to raise money for Relay for Life. So I'm like in the lunchroom going around with a little Relay for Life Valentines with a friend. He's like, he looks at me and he goes, "Hey girl, I saw you in my dream last night." And I was just like speechless. I just didn't say anything. So that was really smooth move on my part. So far, you see, I had 2 ins with Timmy and Ansel probably, and both of them I was like, "What? Me? Cute? No." Okay, and then last person, Lourdes Leon, Madonna's daughter. She was in my French class junior year, and one day we were talking about our backgrounds, like where we're all from, like where our parents are from, our families, etc. And mind you, my mom is the biggest Madonna fan because she was in her 20s in the 80s and she loved her and she used to wear clothes to look like her, and she literally raised me, because Lourdes was a year younger than me, she raised me telling me like, "Oh, Madonna also has a daughter." And I would be like, "Okay, cool, like I'm never gonna know this person." Little did I know, but then her dad is Cuban and my dad is Cuban. So my parents told me all, like as I was growing up, they would be like, "You're Cuban, so is Madonna's daughter Lourdes, blah, blah, blah," right? So one day I sit right next to Lourdes, next to Lola in class, and she's like, we're talking about race. We're talking about where we're from. And she's like, "Oh my God, it's so weird. No one ever believes this, but I'm Cuban." And I was like, shut the front door. I'm Cuban too. Even though obviously I've known this my entire life. I was like 5 years old, like Madonna has a daughter and she's Cuban too. But then I'm like, oh my God, Madonna's daughter is Cuban. And we just have like this whole conversation about being Cuban. And I was just like, this is amazing. But anyway, I really liked Lola. I thought she was a sweetheart too and very down to earth. Seemed like she was being raised really well and didn't really want to be in the spotlight and all of this stuff. So anyway, that was fun. Back to my story. So I always wanted to be an artist, a singer. And I think in high school, while I had this amazing time for the most part, I also was highly traumatized by high school. What do I mean by this? I I had a really hard time choosing between, do I want to pursue music and art full time, or do I want to be following more of an academic trajectory? And the reason this was so hard for me is because, one, as a kid from a family where like going to college was not normal, people did not have the opportunities that I had, and I had stellar grades because I was crazy hardworking, and I had an opportunity to get into an Ivy League school, right? And I had an opportunity to take all the AP classes that I needed to and to stand out and whatever. And then on the flip side, I loved music so much, but I knew like if I went that route, it would be not even disappointing to my family, but I would be leaving an opportunity on the table to like really better myself and better my family on the table. And so I think it's wrong, like when people don't understand, if you're able to pursue music or any art without having to worry about your family or money or, you know, all these things, it's such a huge privilege. It's not something to be taken lightly at all. I just like didn't feel right not pursuing the safer path, the path that I knew would lead to security for myself and for my family. I think when you're young, when you're, 17, 16, you think life is short because you think that by the time you're 25, you're old, which is crazy, but you're like, I can't do both, right? So I felt like I couldn't do both. The second thing that really traumatized me, and I don't want to call anyone out because I love my teachers from high school. We're all flawed humans, etc. But I feel like a lot of my music teachers did make me feel like because I wasn't only focused on music and maybe I wasn't the best opera singer in my class or whatever, I was like, it's easy to overlook me for things. I wasn't serious about music and the arts, which isn't true. I was just complex. It was like really disheartening to me because I was like, well, they won't even listen to me sing for a solo, even though I felt like I was still very talented and very hardworking in music as well, because I haven't expressed that I'm going to a music conservatory and this is the only thing for me. Okay, I also took a songwriting class, which it was probably the most traumatizing thing for me. I was just, and I don't know if it was the environment again or the teacher's fault or what it was, but I was in this environment basically where everyone was like a hipster and cool in this singer-songwriting class. They all were friends and they all wrote music together, and no one wanted to write music with me because I was not part of that clique either. I wasn't part of the opera clique. I wasn't part of the hipster singer-songwriter clique. I was just an outsider, and I'm from Staten Island, so forget it. That's a whole other story. But I felt like so low every day going to this class. I felt like I couldn't produce a whole song because I was a singer and none of the instrumentalists wanted to work with me. I just felt so lame and like honestly horrible about myself that I stopped writing music for like 5 years until after I graduated from college. So I had all of this freaking baggage basically from high school. Even though I loved music, I loved being part of it, I didn't feel like I could do it. I felt like, okay, well, this is a part of me. Maybe I'm just gonna put it on the back burner for a while. So then I go to college. I was still really good academically. I got into Columbia. I got a big scholarship. I'm so grateful for that. I graduated. I did music here and there in college, but again, like, it's just the outsider story. I was never like in the theater clique or the music clique, so I never really got like big roles in shows or anything like that. I was also like scared, honestly, to be outgoing in music. So then, okay, fast forward, I graduate from college. I decided, I had a bunch of opportunities to like go work at Google or go to law school or whatever. And I decided to start my own business, to start freelancing, because I still like always had in the back of my throat, whatever, this feeling like I need to be an artist. So this is how CDEX started, weirdly, because I have a successful company now. And it started from me being like, I need to find a way to make money that's not going to lock me down into more school, into having to live in one specific place, etc. So I start CDEX. It's amazing. Yes. And then a few years later, like maybe 1 or 2 years later, when I'm 22 or 2023, I start releasing music as Mama Cleo. So I'm Mama Cleo, and the whole reason I chose the name Mama Cleo was like to get away from Jacqueline, from Jackie, whoever, myself, and to feel like I had this alter ego that I could be. And it's crazy, like it came not only out of me wanting to have an alter ego, but not wanting people to even know that I was pursuing music. Like I was embarrassed to tell my friends from LaGuardia. I was embarrassed that they would think like, oh, you're not even a singer. You went to Columbia, you do CDEX. And that's all BS. Like it doesn't matter what you do in what order. And mind you, I'm not even 25 at this point. It's like there's so much time in life. If you take 4 years off from music, that doesn't make you not a musician. So it's horrible. But as Mama Cleo, the first year of being Mama Cleo was so painful. Like literally, I was so scared, not scared, but anxious, which is a similar feeling when I was creating music. So anxious, like I was gonna throw up, like I had a hard time even talking to the producers that I was working with. I had a hard time being honest in any of the music that I was making. Over time, it got progressively better.
You'll never find your way in the jungle and bay.
But every time I like sat down to write music as Mama Cleo, all of this shit from high school came up where I was like, you're not really a singer, you don't know how to write music, you suck, blah, blah, blah. And so like, even though I was getting slowly more comfortable, there was so much negativity with it, and me also measuring myself off of everything. I was writing a song trying to make a hit. I wasn't writing a song because it was honest to me. Just looking for shortcuts to being successful. I was buying bots to interact on Instagram with me or whatever to get me to 10,000 followers as quickly as possible. I was buying spaces on Spotify playlists. And so there was just all of this like nasty negative crap with me being Mama Cleo. It became like a toxic relationship again, where I was like, I really want to do this. I'm happy doing this, but also like it's so toxic. I want to throw up just thinking about being Mama Cleo. Eventually, I did start to get some success. Like some of my songs had like 500,000 streams. I was in different publications. I have still to this day some amazing supporters that I'm still friends with from being Mama Cleo, who followed me into my personal life as Jack. Eventually, it came to like a breaking point where I was so miserable. I was fighting with Justin, my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, constantly about like music and how upset I was, and like it was just so toxic. And so one day I woke up and Spotify actually pulled some of my songs off of their platform because I was buying playlist placements, which is like kind of stupid, because what if someone put you on a playlist and you didn't even know about it, right? So whatever, I'm not even gonna talk about that part, but yes. So I remember waking up and just being like, this is a sign. I need to take a break, or I need to stop doing this, and I need to like be healthier about it. So I took a break, as you know, which ended up being 4 years. And the crazy thing is, there was only like 4 or 5 months in that entire time that I wasn't writing music. So I just decided take a break from Mama Cleo. I couldn't even think about her at first because I was so, again, dramatically emotionally intertwined with this stuff. So I didn't even look at the pictures. I didn't even look at my Instagram page, all this stuff. And at the time I moved as well from Los Angeles to Austin just because it was COVID and it was like whatever, we wanted to move. And so we're in Austin. I'm starting to find myself again. I started taking guitar lessons, like learning more about just like how to express myself musically in different ways. I started working with my producer now, Ian, who is amazing. I felt comfortable around him. I started writing music like with no expectations. Like no one's ever gonna hear this. I'm never gonna put this out. And I finally feel, and here's the happy ending, I finally feel like now, after years, literally, of writing music with no expectations, I am getting to a place where my music is just honest, and I'm so excited for people to hear it. I'm so excited, and also I don't care, I guess, which is an amazing thing too, because before in my teens and early 20s, I was so obsessed with like being popular, being famous, because I guess I never was. And that's how a lot of artists feel, right? But now I'm so happy. And I think this also comes from being a mom and having my own family and looking at my daughter Reza and being like, I hope you never have these feelings about yourself, because who cares who likes you and who cares if you're famous? I think when you become a mother, you also become a mother to yourself because you have that perspective. So I'm like, I don't need that stuff. As long as I'm healthy, my daughter's healthy, my family's healthy, and I'm making music, it better be fun. So that is how Jack has been born. So now I'm going to start releasing music as Jack and doing just like more content and stuff and not feeling embarrassed or any type of way about it. And so I'm so excited to start sharing with you. And I'm glad I could share with you my backstory about how I got to be the artist I am today. And yeah, for anyone who's struggling, like art is life. It's a lifetime. It's not normal. It's not safe. It's not healthy for you to be only 16 when you're writing music. Like, I think there are some amazing teenage artists like Olivia Rodrigo. I think she's incredible. And Lorde, when she came out with Royals and stuff like that. But it's not natural, or it's not like it just happened out of nowhere either. These people worked hard from the time they were like 10 years old to do this stuff. And so I think we all just need to find more peace with, like, at any time in your life, you can change your trajectory. And actually the most important part about making art is that you're actually connected to it. And that might take you some more time. You shouldn't be ashamed if it takes you more time or if the path doesn't look like everyone else's. So I'm excited. Of course, I'm still gonna be fighting inner demons every day, but I'm happy to be in a place where I at least know and can talk about it. Thank you for listening. And make sure you follow me and subscribe to keep up to date about my new releases and life. Bye.